into the future. Good morning. Good into the good. 120 minutes.
I don't feel good. Don't bother me.
I got born in Michigan. Mom and Dad hard-working and arrows straight. Lived at Coachville Gardens Mobile Home Court, USA.
I refuse to give up my obsession.
Most likely to succeed, 9th grade.
One night out in LA, I met a Mexicana with a butch girlfriend who I thought was a man. They took me to the alley to have a little chat. People lined the corners doing this and that.
Are you being sinister, or is this some form of practical joke?
Wild America. Wild America.
10th grade formed Iguana's high
My mind is
school
made
rock
up.
band.
There's gonna be trouble.
Wild America.
America, the plum blossoms are falling.
Wild America.
I'm sick of hearing the same demands.
Exterminate the roots. Exterminate the roots. Exterminate the roots. Exterminate the roots. All right.
Something was in me and it had to come out.
Exterminate.
I started getting wild. I grew my hair to my shoulders and I dyed it platinum.
All right.
I got arrested and took my first mugshot.
Your machinery
Straight on
is too much for me.
Profile.
All right.
You made me want to be a saint. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing.
I would just like to say at this point that I'm a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365-day a year American.
I was glad that Debbie had a sense of humor. This time of the morning, I tend to get gloomy. She laughed and said, Iggy, you have got a biggie. I have no reply, so I just closed my eyes. In wild America.
University of Michigan. Dropped out.
When will you take off your clothes?
Wild America. Wild America. Deep and dark.
Found these two high school dropouts on Michigan
I'd better
street
consider
corner
my
to
national
start.
resources.
Stooges. Got screwed in the business.
I'm trying to come to the point.
Went underground. Hard times.
I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations.
Resurfaced with first solo album.
Exterminate the roots. Exterminate the roots. Exterminate the roots.
Loved Berlin. Hated LA. Loved my garden. My wife. My dog. My cat. Noise. Aggravation. Hey. Girls. Hi. regular guys, hey man, hate hokey music. People who want to use me. And conceited.
It occurs to me that I am America. I am talking to myself.
Ambition?
America, this is the impression I get from looking
make
at the
better
television
music.
set. America, is this
Live life
correct?
in peace
I'd better
and
get
then
right down to the job.
die.
I certainly use I write off guitar, and I certainly use the guitar and the musical experience as a way to get the feelings out. I think your deepest feelings don't really even need the words. And then with the words, it's more a sense of, I don't want to sing something that's hokey, so I try. It's sort of a process to try to sing about what you're really doing and something that's real and what's really on your mind. But it's not that easy. You kind of got to hunt for it, I think.
Iggy Pop going back to his roots with sounds reminiscent of some of his earlier work. American Caesar is the name of his new album, and Wild America is the name of that video you saw here on 120 Minutes. And we have just confirmed that Iggy Pop will be filling in for me, hosting 120 Minutes sometime next month while I'm on vacation. And thank God Iggy has a real job, because I saw him when he did the year-end countdown last year. He was so amazing. If he ever wanted to quit his job and come host 120 Minutes, I would bow down, because he is amazing and he rocks. I'm really psyched he's going to come in to fill in. Right about now, it's time to count down the top 10 records on alternative radio for this week, as the Cranberries linger at number 10 for a third week, with everybody else is doing it, so why can't we? Cracker debut at 9 with their second album, Kerosene Hat. Conehead soundtrack squeezes out a third week at number 8. Sweet Relief, a benefit for Victoria Williams spends fourth week at 7. Saturation from Urge Overkill stays at 6 for a second week. So does Bjork with Debut at 5. Juliana Hatfield 3, falling 2 slots to 4 with Become What You Are. Catherine Wheel stay at 3 for a third week with Chrome. Last week's special guest, The Breeders, up 2 more to number 2 with Last Splash, which means, hey, surprise, surprise, Smashing Pumpkins at number 1 again. 6 straight weeks in a row for Siamese Dream in the top spot. Congratulations to the band. And next up on 120 Minutes, a brand new video from the band whose record jumped up to number 20 on this week's chart. It's another awesome band from Boston, Buffalo Tom. Their 4th album, Big Red Letter Day, hits stores tomorrow, Tuesday, and it's produced by the Robb Brothers, who worked on the last 2 Lemonheads records. The new Buffalo Tom video is called Soda Jerk. It was directed by Kevin Kerslake, who's done a pretty impressive array of artists. He's done clips for Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and here it is, new Buffalo Tom and frontman Bill Janovitz to give us his take on his songwriting.
I guess this is stuff that inspires us rather than kind of the happy stuff. It's more the kind of downside of whatever X that kind of inspires us to write music or to write the lyrics. I find it a hard time to write about real
Shiny, happy people.
positive things. Yeah.
What should I
I'm Brett.
And I'm Bernard.
And we're from Suede.
And you're watching?
You're watching 120 Minutes on MTV.
Into the future.
And we got a brand new video from Suede on the way, along with Rocket from the Crypt, and a cult classic from the Beastie Boys, and a world premiere from Radiohead. I'm Lewis Largent. About a month and a half ago, we were in England, and you saw our coverage of the Depeche Mode show, their last date on their European tour. They're in America now. Well, Robert Smith was kind enough to grant us an interview. We're at the Fiction Record offices, and he had just finished mixing the live album, or live albums, and the concert film show that is currently making its way across the country. And nice enough to grant us an interview. He's in a really good mood, and promoting his CD soundtrack that goes along with the movie. It was all recorded in Detroit during the Wish tour, and there's also a second CD called Paris, which contains songs not included on show, and all the songs on that CD were recorded at Paris during the Wish tour. There you go. See, it's called Paris, and Paris is actually coming out in October, and that's it. That's all the information I have, all the background information, and we're going to jump right into it. Part one of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you've never done a proper live album. Lots of live tracks and lots of live B-sides, but never...
Well, we sort of did a live album called Concert in... It was after the Top album, so it was in 84.
It was an EP, wasn't it, kind of?
It was an album, but it suffered the same fate as On Treat, in that it was a kind of half-hearted, staggered release, and it got released some places and not other places. And I think now it's become part of the Fiction back catalogue. I think they've given it a number and you can get it on CD now. But at the time, it was like unavailable for years, and it's not really that good. I mean, the repertoire's not that good. It's only about sort of 10 songs or something, so it's more vinyl length. You know, it's like 45 minutes.
So you just decided it was time to do it. Is that what did it?
Well, with the show film, that how it all started off was because the thing with Paul was one of the reasons that I knew he was leaving. I knew the lineup was going to change, so I figured that we'd never be doing that set again, we'd never have that show again, and I really just wanted to capture it. It was I just thought in years to come, if the only thing that's ever there as a kind of visual testament to The Cure live is The Cure in Orange, I'd be pretty upset. I mean, not that The Cure in Orange is a bad film, but it has nothing really to do with what we do now, or what we were doing last year. That's completely unrepresentative. So I suppose it was like just for us initially. I just wanted something there so that when people look back in years to come, I mean, the film's effectively for people in the future because we're still around. You know, it's not really for now, but so they can look back and think, oh, that's what The Cure were like, that's what they did. So I suppose it's a conceit in a way. But I mean, once we jumped into it, the idea of the live album going out with it was sort of obvious. But the Paris stuff was because we recorded 3 nights in Paris much later in the year, and everything had changed. The kind of the mood within the group had changed. The songs had all changed. I mean, they're all different songs, obviously, on the second album. And it's much more a sort of a hardcore fan sort of album. They're really old songs, and it's a lot slower and kind of moody. There's like 3 8-minute songs on there. It's that sort of album.
We will have more from my exclusive conversation with Robert Smith throughout the entire show tonight, so be sure to stay with us. Right now, we're going to play you a brand new excerpt from the show film, and it's a song from The Cure's last studio album, Wish, and it's called Doing the Unstuck.
Just goes to show how wrong you think, how you really should know.
Where's your instruments? What the? We only play rock music here. Why you dissing, man?
Rock and roll!
Yeah, dude, like, I think we're the band. I've been waiting for you boys all day. Get on stage.
No sleep till!
City to city, I'm a running my round.
You have no idea how totally psyched I am that we're finally playing Rocket from the Crypt from their second album, Circa Now, out of San Diego. That, of course, Rocket from the Crypt. That album has been out actually for a year now, and they got signed to. It was on Cargo Records, and it got signed to Interscope Records, home of like Dr. Dre and Primus. They are an amazing band. Clash meets Social Distortion, and I just like love them more than anything. Sturdy Wrist here on 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. Be sure to stay tuned for a world premiere from Radiohead and a brand new one from Suede. And right after the break, part 2 of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure.
Hi, we're the Breeders.
And you're watching 120 Minutes on MTV.
Into the future.
Welcome back to MTV's 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. We still got a world premiere from Radiohead coming up. But first, part 2 of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure and more on their new tour film, Show.
So now the movie, was that recorded just in Detroit, one show?
Yeah, well, 2 shows.
Is there a lot of pressure on you knowing this is the movie, this is going to be it?
There was, yeah, that's why we did it. I mean, there was no other good reason for I mean, Detroit's like a good place to play, and we always have a good audience there. It's, ideally, I suppose, I would have liked to have filmed the Texas Stadium show in Dallas, just because it meant everything to me being a Cowboys fan. So that's not the reason, but it was like a big...
You're not a Cowboys fan, are you?
Sort of. I am now. Emmett Smith's giving me a shirt. But it was just like a big event, and it was kind of the whole setting sort of was geared up for like a film. It was like a very dramatic, you know, and it was also very incongruous, us playing in Texas Stadium. It's kind of a meeting of like 2 extremes. But we didn't, obviously we couldn't hire Texas Stadium 2 nights running. We couldn't field it 2 nights running, sadly.
Big, but you're not that big.
Yeah, so Detroit was the only place really that we could get 2 nights in a sizable place where we knew the audience was going to be good. So if we really went wrong, badly wrong on the first night, we always had the second night to fall back on. But as it turned out, I think there's 18 or 19 songs on the video. There's only, I think, 3 from the second night. We were really good on the first night.
More later on with what we think is the only American interview with Robert Smith this year. Next, it's a 3rd video from Suede's self-titled debut album. This is The Drowners.
Well, he wants to love.
Okay, now that everybody is totally freaking out over Blind Melon and they are huge and giant, we just want to let you know that we were there for them in the beginning, and it's testimonial to that fact we played you the first video that we got from them when we played well over a year ago, Tones of Home from Blind Melon here on 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. Stick around for a world premiere from Radiohead plus the Ocean Blue, and right after the break, it's part 3 of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure.
To the future.
I'm Tom. No, you're not. I'm Johnny. Yep, I'm Tom. We're Radiohead. Wow, this is 120 minutes.
Into the future.
Wow. We're just 10 minutes away from a world premiere video from Radiohead. But first, part 3 of our exclusive interview with The Cure's Robert Smith. And a lot of people compare The Cure to Depeche Mode a lot of times. And I don't know how much they have in common, but one thing they do hold in common with Depeche Mode is that they've never had a manager. And I asked him why.
I'm prepared to, I suppose, spend the time and make the decisions. We've never had a manager, and so I suppose that, I mean, like once a day, the office will like either fax me through or phone me up with a list of questions, and I just like yes, no, and it's usually no, 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 no. It's easier than delegating it to someone else who you're going to disagree with. It would take twice as long, arguing the point of like why we should do it, why we shouldn't do it. I mean, Chris Parry sometimes will come to me with, you know, from fiction's point of view, say this is a great marketing idea, blah blah blah, and he'll have his 15-minute pitch, and then I say no, it doesn't feel right, and he go okay then. You know, and I'm sure I'm hated for it a lot of the time. I mean, particularly by the record companies. Can't understand why I don't actively want to sell more records. But I realise that with the groups that I like, there's something more than just what they do musically. There has to be. You have to, like I was saying earlier about not being embarrassed about liking someone, you have to actively want to be a fan, I think. And if I ever stopped feeling that about The Cure, I know it would have all gone wrong. And so I sort of live or die by my own decisions, and I suppose that's why. I mean, we don't employ anyone. I mean, when we do something like a tour, obviously you get people in to fulfil certain functions, but in everyday life, you don't really need anyone. I think people are scared to take the responsibility for their own lives a lot of the time. That's why they have people around them. And it kind of keeps the real world at bay a lot of the time. It sort of stops you having to think too much about things. But, I mean, I enjoy that. I've got to, I mean, I'm around much younger people far too much for me to be embarrassing. I mean, in some ways, I mean, I'm like hugely embarrassing to them in other ways, but I'd never be like let the group, I suppose, drift off and lose control of it because I've invested half my life in it.
Who's that really ugly guy sitting next to Robert, huh? We're going to have more of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith as 120 Minutes continues tonight. Right now, it's the latest from Hershey, Pennsylvania's Ocean Blue. Their 3rd album is called Beneath the Rhythm and Sound, and here is Sublime.
Another radical dream becomes a long-lost friend. Beneath the rhythm and sound lies another meaning. And if you ask me today to say just what I'm thinking, you might flee my reply and run upwards and run downwards. It was so long. It was so long. It was so long. It was so long. This entangled up dream still plays on illusion, trying hard to escape more jangled delusion. If you ask me today, and you wonder why, it's not just what you think. It grows outwards and it holds you. It's so long. It's so long. It was so long. It was so long. if you're ready or not. It may reach out and grab you. And if you ask me today, then you ponder life. You might flee its reply and run upwards and run downwards. It was so sublime. It was so sublime. It was so sublime. It was so sublime.
Into the future. Good morning. Good. Into the good. 120 minutes.
Time for the second 60 of MTV's 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. In the next hour, more of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure. And we will have videos from Afghan Wigs, Eves Plum, Liz Phair, Hazel, Soul Asylum, The Cranberries, and a cult classic from the Lemonheads, which you have to see because Evan Dano looks so funny. You wouldn't even know it's him. It's amazing. We're going to kick off the second hour with a world premiere video from Radiohead. It's the second video from their just certified gold album, Pablo Honey, and it's called Stop Whispering.
And the wise men say I don't wanna hear your voice.
I directed it with my partner Phil Harder from Minneapolis. He has a film company up there. He's done a bunch of our stuff and other folk stuff. He's a really, he's an independent filmmaker, great guy. He's also a great cinematographer too. So we usually work together. I sort of like come up with things, and he and I sort of bounce off each other. So he's great to work with.
From their fourth album, Gentlemen, that is Cincinnati's Afghan Wigs with Debonair here on 120 Minutes. I gotta tell you, I've got to be honest with you, I've never been the hugest Afghan Wigs fan, and I'm turning the corner on them in the biggest way. I think this album is really great. And now that they're signed to a major label and they're off that independent label, I love them now. I'm Louis Largent, and now it's time for part 4 of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure. And in this particular installment, Robert tells us about the departure of longtime Cure guitarist Paul Thompson. So I just want to ask you about some members of the band. Simon kind of conked out in the middle of your European tour. What happened there?
He developed pneumonia and pleurisy and God knows what else. He's like, I don't know what's happening to him really. He just went very savagely downhill health-wise through excessive drinking mainly.
Now, what did you do once that happened, and like what happened in the tour?
Well,
you were in the middle of a tour.
Yeah,
if I'm wrong.
Although the overview of the tour was that it was really good fun, it was also quite intense, and a lot went on around the actual performing side of it. There was a lot of personal grief, which is the same as I suppose for everyone, but it's kind of intensified when you're travelling around together and you don't really have a normal life. If things start going wrong, it's very difficult to just kind of put your bags down and try and sort something out. And the only way that people kind of channel that is back into the group, and it can either make for a brilliantly insanely intense concert, or it just flares up backstage and you end up trading punches or whatever. And with Simon, it took the effect he just took it out on himself and just reached a point where he couldn't physically play anymore. And we were lucky in that Roberto Suave, who's a bass player. That's
not his real last name.
It is his real name, and he's Scottish. He should be at least McSuave, shouldn't he? He had played with Shelley and Orphan, and also the Associates. So we'd known him since 1980. I'd known him. So it's he was like a safe bet, really. I knew he was an excellent bass player. It was just he had 2 days to to learn the set. That's the only thing I was a bit unsure about. But he did it, and we played a full set 2 days after Simon had gone home, which is pretty remarkable. And it kind of stayed. This was with 3 weeks to go, I think, on the European tour, and we had about, I think, 13 concerts left. And Simon sort of was ready enough to get back into it for the last 5 concerts, and we had 2 bass players, so we kind of used 2 bass players, which is really good. There's really some powerful stuff on the last few nights of the tour. I don't know. I mean, Simon's got a bit weird.
He's getting a bit weird?
Way, yeah. But he does from time to time, he's a complex personality.
More with Robert Smith later on. Right now, you got to call this the band name of the year. A band out of New York called Eve's Plum. And of course, for the one person out there who doesn't know what that means, Eve Plum, of course, is Jan Brady of the Brady Bunch's real name. And this band's guitarist, Michael Koch, is obviously probably a big fan. Eve's Plum.
Just don't ask me what it was. Just don't ask me what it was. Maybe it's because I'm clumsy. I try not to talk too loud. Maybe it's because I'm crazy. I try not to act too proud. They all did until you cry. After that, you don't ask why. Don't ask why. Just don't argue anymore. My name is Luca. I live on the second floor. They hold their head until you cry. After that, you don't ask why. Just don't argue anymore. Don't argue anymore. They hold their head until you cry. After that, you don't ask Yes, folks, that was indeed the Lemonheads from their 1989 album Lick. That is their cover of the Suzanne Vega song, Luca, here on 120 Minutes. And, of course, you all saw the Mrs. Robinson video when he had the little sticker that said, "Hi, my name is Luca," a little ode to Suzanne Vega. I'm Louis Largent. Stick around for Soul Asylum, Cranberries, and a brand new video from Hazel. But right after the break, part 6 of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure.
I'm Dave.
I'm Dan. We're from
Soul Asylum.
And you're watching
120 Minutes
on MTV.
Into the future.
Still to come on this particular program, we got Soul Asylum's Victoria Williams cover on the way, along with the Cranberries and a brand new one from Hazel. But first, part 6 of our exclusive interview with The Cure's Robert Smith.
Are there any songs that you play live that you feel like you have to play? Like do you play just
like heaven?
Yeah. Do you play that because you feel like you have to play? Would you not play it if you had your druthers against your better judgment?
I don't know. There are kind of pressures, insidious pressures from all around us when we're out on tour of what to play and what not to play. I think we appreciate that an audience is there and they're going to want, I mean, just talking to an audience, you get the feeling that they want to hear certain songs and would feel upset if they didn't hear them. And it would seem really churlish just not to do them just because we didn't want to do them. I mean, that's the reason why we play so long. Apart from the fact we enjoy it, is also to fit in all the stuff we want to do and fit in the stuff that we think, or that we figure that the audience wants to hear. There are definitely key songs when we've played live in the past sort of 4 years that we've always played, we've never left out. I mean, Pictures of You are always in the set. I think Lullaby was always in the set, Just Like Heaven was always in the set. They're really like the singles, I suppose, that mean something. Whereas although, like in America, I suppose Love Song's our biggest single, but that isn't like a mainstay in the set. In fact, we play it very rarely. So it's a combination of what the audience wants and what we feel comfortable playing. But, I mean, it changed through last year. We played, I think, more than 60 songs in the course of the year. So, but I think there were 5 songs that we played every single night.
The ones you just mentioned.
Yeah, and open and end with the other 2.
you mentioned, we've been talking about Just Like Heaven, which is, I think the reason Electra feels that is because in every, it was never a big top 40 hit, but it was huge on commercial alternative radio. Any time like K-Rock in LA, WDRE in Long Island will do like their top 500 of all time, that song will be firmly entrenched in the first 5 positions.
Because we did it at the MTV Awards.
Is that it? But
ingratiating.
What do you think of your status of still being an alternative band, even though you entered the charts at #2 with your last album? You've had, I think Love Song was at least a #2 or #1 single.
Only 2.
#2, just missed it. What kept it out, do you remember?
I don't. What kept us out this time? Janet Jackson, I think, wasn't it? It might have been Janet Jackson before as well. I think she's got something against us.
It was either
she
that
waits and she releases her records to coincide.
It was either that or like Garth Brooks or something.
Yeah, that rings a bell. It was someone that we'd never heard of and we thought, how dare he?
But what do you think of, like, how do you view yourself? Isn't that weird for you? Or is it weird for you to have an alternative status even though you play Dodger Stadium and Giant Stadium? How do you perceive that?
I don't know what it means, I suppose, with The Cure in that context. It's because we got nominated for our first Grammy this year for the Wish album, as in Best Alternative Album.
It would have been this last year, yeah.
Yeah, so that made us laugh, because it was like a number 2 album, and it was #1 like everywhere else in the world. But it's like
R.E.M. was probably nominated for Best Alternative Album as well, which sold 4 million copies.
Yeah, I think they were actually. Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I suppose it's an attitude. So we should be pleased to be classified as alternative. I mean, I would hate, being serious, I would hate to be considered mainstream, because I still like the idea of people being able to like us and not be embarrassed about liking us. It's like that we're not quite right.
And we're going to have the final installment of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith in just a few minutes. But first, we got a new video from a band out of Portland, Oregon called Hazel. They're a trio, and also from, that's Kennedy's hometown, by the way. MTV's Kennedy is from Portland, Oregon, and so are Quarterflash, just in case you're wondering. And they're a trio, but they've actually, believe it or not, they've gotten a 4th member, Mr. Fred Nemo, who dances on stage when they play live, doesn't play an instrument, and taking a cue from the Happy Mondays, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and Blue Aeroplanes, who all have non-instrumental dancing members. He's also in the new video, which comes to us via their debut album, Toreador of Love. Here's the video, Dayglow from Hazel on MTV's 120 Minutes.
I'm Nirvana. And you're up very late on a Sunday night. And watching 120 Minutes. I see your lips moving.
Into the future.
By the way, a lot of people have told me that I look exactly like Dave Grohl, the drummer of Nirvana. Is that true, would you say? Yeah, okay. He's probably much more handsome than I am, I'm sure. Okay, One More Day, that's it, the most anticipated album by far of the year. Well, actually, Nirvana probably and the Pearl Jam album, but Nirvana's 3rd album, In Utero, hits stores tomorrow, Tuesday. Finally, can't wait for that. Also can't wait for the video, which we still haven't gotten yet, directed by Anton Corbin, hopefully soon, like in the next week or 2. Thanks for staying up late with 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent, and now for the final installment of our exclusive interview with Robert Smith of The Cure.
You have an amazing knack, excuse me, for bringing people into the band who are not like necessarily obvious choices from other people, like you wouldn't audition somebody. They're usually people you know, and Perry was your roadie. Is he going to contribute now? Does he contribute to like the songs and the songwriting process, or is he going to contribute like in the making of your next album? I don't even know if you thought that far ahead or not.
Well, we never really thought of Perry as a roadie, because he's exactly the same age as us, and exactly the same sense of humour, and a similar upbringing. I mean, we've all got pretty diverse upbringings, but it's gone through the same basic educational system in England, and so has the same kind of phobias, the same bugbears and that. It's very easy to get on with, and understands the Cure, and as an old Cure fan, actually saw us in 1979, so it was the most natural thing in the world to, when the position became vacant, so to speak, just to invite him in. I mean, it wasn't because he could play particularly well. That's never the primary concern. Although he can play well, but he wasn't picked because he was technically a wonderful musician, and then let's see what his personality is like. I mean, he was picked because he fit, and it was like a kind of a bonus that he could actually play. Although had he not been able to play at all, I doubt if we would have considered him. But I mean, he contributed to the Wish album. He wrote Trust, is one of Perry's songs, not lyrically but musically. So he started straight away. I mean, he had like 10 years worth of stuff on cassette to play me. So listen to this one. So yeah, he's very into it. In fact, he's actually like he's constantly the one on the phone to me saying, "When are we going to do something?" I haven't finished the last stuff yet. Because he's sitting at home like shuffling his feet, wanting to get going. Because to him, it's all very new. I mean, he was in a band when he was at school and for a couple of years after he left school, but has never really been in a serious. I don't know if we were a serious band, but a band that is able to make records. So he wants us to get going quick. So I have to patiently explain to him that I need a break for a certain period of time, otherwise I get fed up with it.
And there you go. That's it. Hope you enjoyed our exclusive interview with Robert Smith. As a little postscript to the whole Robert Smith thing, just in case you're ever wondering, Robert Smith he's like the nicest, most candid, genuinely honest, sincere guy around. He kind of has a timeless quality about him. Like when things go in and out of fashion, he's kind of stayed the same and been really true to the music and just like the nicest guy in the world. He was so great, and like afterwards, he really enjoyed the interview a lot. Like played us, he went and got this tape and played us this really spaced out, weird kind of techno-y version of Purple Haze that's coming out on a Jimi Hendrix tribute album soon. So I look forward to hearing that. The final video on tonight's show comes from what is going to be an enormous, gigantic hit from the Cranberries, and is their latest called Linger. from everybody else is doing it, so why can't we, the Cranberries, with the final video on tonight's 120-minute show, Linger. Send your comments and suggestions about the show to 1515 Broadway, 24th floor, New York, New York, 136. And be here with us next week. We have a special show just in store for you next Sunday night at midnight, 11 Central on 120 Minutes. And don't forget Alternative Nation weeknights at 6 p.m. and midnight with our friend Kennedy. Thanks for watching for 120 Minutes. I'm Louis Largent. Bye.